And now it's here. Or should I say, I am.
What's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Marvel Buddies podcast. Um, if it's not glaringly obvious who I'm covering this weekend, or today, yes, I am covering Namor the Submariner, and I know my camera looks weird. I'm trying something out. Um, but I did mention I would be covering some Black Panther 2 characters this week, and you know, but I hope you guys are all doing great today. Um, Starting this stream off, pretty well with Namor the Submariner here. Who is Marvel's oldest character, or I guess technically third oldest character, because he was in the third, he was a third debuted comic in said comic, character in said comic. But yeah, so we'll be covering Namor the Submariner. He was the antagonist of the Black Panther 2 movie, and his full name, Namor the Submariner Mackenzie, debuted on October of 1939. He is the oldest current Marvel character in Marvel's history, both in the comics and technically now in the um, movie, since he is in Black Panther 2. And he was created by Bill Everett. Now, um, I have a couple comics here I wanted to talk about, specifically the Infinity comic. Marvel has recently done this thing where they've dropped comics called the Infinity comics, and they'll talk about who is this character, right? And they give the characters, like who the character is, a brief understanding of their history. Um, and it came out. If you guys want to know how old this comic is, it came out October 26th of this year, so it is literally like 3 months old. Um, it's written by Ralph Macchio, not the guy that did the Karate Kid, and so I mentioned he was Marvel's first character. He is technically in the MCU Marvel's oldest mutant as of right now. No other, because he is technically a mutant. No other characters have debuted that are X-Men characters, at least to my knowledge. Um, so he is a mutant, and his mutation is the tiny little wings on his feet. Um, Here, I will show you here. Do you see, if you guys notice there, he has little wings on his feet. That is his mutation. Now, the wings on his feet um allow him, since it is a mutation, he is the only Atlantean to have it. But it gives him the ability to fly in the air, as or swim through the air technically, and he gets greater speeds while flying or swimming through the water. Um, and yeah, it just, that is his mutation, his little wings on his feet. And I guess technically also his pointy ears. Um, but yeah, he is a mutant. He is Marvel's first mutant. But as in, like, he was created before everyone. He technically, canonically isn't. That goes to the Black Queen from the Hellfire Club. I forgot her name. Um, she was in Conan the Barbarian. But yeah, so um, talking about some of his powers and his feats. While in water, or while like freshly out of water, he is technically stronger than Thor and or the Hulk. Um, and his winged feet allow him to swim through at high speeds through the water, as well as through the air. It's pretty much just flight. He also, as an amphibian, can intake oxygen through water molecules via diffusion. He can also just breathe like a human, because he is both a Atlantean and a um, human. He has both genes flowing through him. Um, and because he's an amphibian, he can also survive in like really cold temperatures or really warm weathers. More so the cold temperatures than the warm temperatures. Um, he has highly developed vision that allows him to see through like murky ocean depths and whatnot, or deep ocean depths. Yeah, and like I mentioned, the hybrid physiology allows him to survive indefinitely underwater and above water. However, he can't. He'll need to take trips periodically to and from both places. And I'll get to that. But um, just like um, any other character, he does have the basic powers, which is superhuman strength, stamina, agility, reflexes, durability, and speed. Like the bare minimum needed for these characters. He can absorb radiation. He has aquatic healing and can breathe underwater, obviously because he is kind of like a fish, dude. Um, he has electrolocation, like kind of like how a lot of like eels or stuff also have electrolocation to like determine where they're going and to not hit rocks and stuff. He has that too. Um, and he has aquatic. I'm not sure if I read this right when I did this. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he has aquatic teleportation. He has atmokinesis, which is the ability to control the atmosphere, as well as hydrokinesis, which is the ability to control water, or like bend water. Um, he's a diplomat. He is a representative of Atlantis, or they rechanged it in the MCU to Talokan, um, because it was something they wanted to do like with culture and whatnot. They wanted it to be like more of a cultural thing. Um, and where was it? He's He's an expert combatant and tactician. He can speak multiple languages. And like I mentioned, he is a bold diplomat. Like he will very quickly go to war. Um, but he has all these kind of strengths, but he also does have his fair share of weaknesses. Um, Without water, he begins to weaken. So if he starts to dehydrate, he's not at full strength anymore. Um, Also, too, if he remains on land or in water for too long, he has an oxygen imbalance in his body. So for some reason, right? And I'm just gonna blame it on the 40s, but technically, they probably didn't think of this at the time. But the oxygen is different in the water and on land because he's drawing oxygen. Technically, he's drawing it from water molecules, and then he's drawing it underwater, and then he's drawing it from like oxygen in the air when he's on land. So it's an imbalance, which technically does make sense when you look at like oxygen in its natural state is always O2, and then H2O is just one oxygen molecule. So oxygen imbalance. Without it, um, stuff happens. Um, he has bipolar tendencies and head problems. His head problems being like he can get knocked out and gain like amnesia and stuff like that. He's been mind controlled a lot. Or has had his like memory wiped. But regarding the getting hit in the face and getting amnesia, he's also too been punched by the Hulk and been completely fine. So take that with a grain of salt because like, each character is written by a different person and each person has their own say in, you know, whatever. It's been pretty inconsistent. Pollution in waters negatively affect his mood and abilities. Um, and he has fought in World War II with Captain America and Bucky Barnes and all the other, like freedom fighters, the Human Torch, the original one, the Machine. Um, and so, as a result of fighting in World War II, he does have PTSD. There is a really good comic. It's called Marvel Spotlight, and they do a spotlight on each of the characters. They do Namor's spotlight um, in relation to his significant other, where she talks about how he's like one day he'll be like a really big jerk, but the another day he'll be like the sweetest person ever, and then you kind of think that's because he's Atlantean, but it reveals that he has PTSD. It's revealed he has PTSD, and he like starts attacking someone at a carnival because they have like a suit with like a swastika, and so he like starts beating the crap out of the guy, like to the point where he's about to kill him, and like Captain America, the Avengers, and like the freedom fighter, or well the freedom fighters or whatever, the Avengers of the time have to like step in and like save the guy because he's about to get like absolutely ripped to shreds. Um, if you notice on the pop figure, there's a trident. That is Neptune's trident that he holds, like the Roman god. And he also does have the horn of Proteus. So the horn, when you toot it, right, allows him to summon and control sea monsters as well as mutates found in the sea. But that is just kind of like a brief talking of Namor, and his like kind of like his basic feats and whatnot. He has a long history of either being or attacking the heroes of Earth, right? Like for one instance, when he debuts in the Fantastic Four, the first thing he wants to do is take Sue Storm as his bride. Um, and that's like a really common thing. If you guys remember when I did Marvel's What If for when the What If TV show came out, one of the What If episodes was if Spider-Man joined the Fantastic Four, and as a result, Sue Storm felt like undervalued and left and married Namor the Submariner. Now, Namor is married to a different person. She is Atlantean. I forgot her name, but they do mention it quite a bit here in like these comics, these older comics. Let's see. I forgot her name. Let's see. Dorma. Dorma. That's the name of his wife. Um, his his love life is very tragic, but I will definitely get to that through the Infinity comic that I'm about to talk about. So this is who is Namor the Submariner. He is Atlantean, a mutant, friend or foe, ruler, vagabond, but who is he really, right? First known hybrid of Homo sapien and Homo mermanus, known as Prince Namor, the one true submariner, regal ruler of all seven seas, right? In the early 20th century, like I'm talking like 1920s, a chance between Sea Captain Leonard Mackenzie and Princess Fen of the underwater civilization of Atlantis led to their marriage aboard his ship. If you guys think about it, his Namor is very, very close to the Aquaman character, so their relationship and their story is very similar. However, Aquaman is a complete ripoff of Namor the Submariner. Namor debuted in 1939. If I'm not mistaken, Aquaman debuted in 1964, which is like the time where most of the superheroes debuted. I could be wrong about that, but I know that Namor the Submariner definitely came first since 1939 was like early comic days. Um, yeah, I'm pretty sure Namor came first. Um, Ren returned to Atlantis after the apparent death of her husband and uh, the child of their brief union, and so Namor was born into the great family with destiny before him. When he was but a youth, Namor learned of the races coexisting beneath the waves. Atlantis made pacts with those like the Skarka tribe, also known as the Chasm people. Atuma, son of the Chasm people's leader, became a friend to the young prince, and ties between the societies grew. But a diplomatic mission gone wrong resulted in an elite Atlantean force known as the Swift Tide being transformed into the monstrous Black Tide, right? And as a result, the resulting clash ended with Atuma's father dead, the fate he blamed on the Atlanteans and Namor's once friend, now his bitter enemy. The peace pact between the two nations similarly crumbled, even as strife continued under the sea. There was great animosity in Atlantis towards the surface world. The savage submariner was the blunt instrument of the Atlanteans' eerie reckoning, wrecking havoc of mankind. Um, and you pathetic humans have despoiled my oceans long enough. Now your entire race will pay for such an outrage. But the coming of World War II saw the subsea prince take sides with the Allies, including former foes Captain America, the Human Torch, and the Human Torch going against the Nazi aggressors. He's like, you Nazis are the worst of mankind, and thus I side with the Allies to bring about your defeat. Though I have no love for either of them, right? And so here's the Human Torch. Um, they are the robotic versions of the Human Torch. Here's Captain America and Bucky Barnes, and there are like other heroes there. Um, but during the 1950s, the Submariner found himself in conflict with Paul Destine, otherwise known as Destiny, who had discovered the ancient Lemurian artifact called the Serpent Crown, giving him enormous psionic powers. Destiny succeeded in destroying the capital city of Atlantis, and their pitched battle left Namor with amnesia. This is more of that head damage and head trauma that I mentioned, like the amnesia from being like mind controlled or like psionically overtaken. Um, from that day forward, the heir to the Atlantean throne became a damn that word derelict, amnesiac, wandering the streets of New York's Lower East Side. Um, Years later, Johnny Storm, the latter day Human Torch, the like Human Torch that you guys probably know more of because he was in the Fantastic Four movies and whatnot. Um, a burst of Johnny's trademark flame shaved Namor's beard, and with his subsequent drop into the waters of New York's harbor, Namor largely restored his memory. The Submariner sought out his undersea homeland, eventually locating his people dwelling in a new Atlantis. He became its magnificent monarch with the passing of the beloved Emperor Thakor. So, if you guys remember when I talked about Marvel's history, Atlantis came from like it was a city above water, and then it flooded and sank underwater, and the people there kind of like had to evolve to survive. Yeah, that's not how they do it in the movie, but it doesn't make sense because evolution isn't instant, right? You have to like undergo it through millions of years in a process of like select natural selection and whatnot. But they explain it differently in the movies, and it's actually a really good way that they explained it. But yeah, he is not blue because he is part human. But yeah, here's him with the horn. Um, And so, following his people's wishes, Namor then resumed his war on the surface world. And he's like, "Your beloved metropolis, New York, will be the first surface city to face the wrath of the Submariner for your crimes against Atlantis. You shall drown in mass amid your fabled skyscrapers." But even the surface world Namor hated so much held some intrigue for him. Meeting Susan Storm of the Fantastic Four, Namor was instantly smitten and even promised to forego his lethal attack if she would agree to his unusual demands. And of course, his unusual demands were having her marry him. "You are the loveliest human I've ever seen. If you will consent to be my bride, I might show mercy to the rest of your pitiful race." And he's like, "I'll do anything. I'll become your bride." Right? She actually does in that What If comic become his bride, and she turns into like a blue fish person. It's really cool. Nevertheless, the Submariner, they like, in case you wanted to know, the people there like found a way to turn like the humans there into fish people. Like they have like this ray that Atlanteans will go through. Nevertheless, the Submariner subsequently resumed his warlike ways, coming into major conflict when Earth's greatest heroes, the Avengers and the Fantastic Four. Um, so yeah, for in the first comic of the Avengers, they fight Loki, and Hulk ends up leaving because he believes that like they kind of just blamed the Hulk because Loki mind controls the Hulk, and then the Hulk ends up like going on a rampage, and they're like, "Oh, it's the Hulk," but Thor's like, "No, it's my brother Loki." Um, and the Submariner already being a pre-established character in the FF because he debuted in like the FF were the Avengers debuted like halfway through the FF storyline, so the FF were already established when the Avengers came out. But um, Namor was already an FF villain, but when this happened, the Hulk ended up siding with Namor. The Submariner. It was a comic I did want to talk about because the Avengers end up fighting Namor and Hulk at the same time, which is like pretty ridiculous because Namor is already like the same strength as the Hulk, but he's also like taking on the Avengers. This was prior to the Scarlet Witch joining the team, and the Vision joining the team. Obviously, back in that comic, it was still actually at the time it was Ant-Man and the Wasp or Giant Man and the Wasp. Here he's Goliath. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Iron Man, and Thor, and then Hulk was there too. And then eventually, a couple comics later, they got Captain America. Um, but between the battles, he came to the realization that the Lady Dorma was a true love of his life, and the two married. But in actuality, the Submariner had to wed Lyra, an evil princess from or Yara, two double L's, Spanish, Yara. Anyway, an evil princess from a rival kingdom, Lemuria, with designs of the Atlantean throne, who had disguised herself as Dorma after slaying her. So, um, I'm gonna go with Lyra on this one. Lyra ends up killing the person he loved, and then kind of wearing her body or like becoming her, and then faking their marriage. Um, bro, people are rude. But Namor was grief-stricken to his core and once again forsook his aggression against mankind. Rest easy, my lady Dorma. I swear to you, I shall exact my revenge on the woman who caused you your untimely death. Um, and he then eventually allied himself with the colorful heroes such as the X-Men, the Avengers, and the all-new Invaders, who saw even an uneasy alliance with Namor as a huge asset. The Submariner also made significant contributions to the so-called non-group, the Defenders, whose loose-knit structure suited Namor with his wandering ways perfectly. So yeah, he ends up, since he is a mutant, he ends up joining the X-Men. He is a big component with the West Coast X-Men team that Scott Summers ends up running, which is the Xavier School for the Gifted in the West. I think Wolverine takes the East Coast, and then they split up. after like a big fight, and Wolverine ends up running Jean Grey's School for the Gifted, and then Scott ends up running um, the Xavier's School for the Gifted. Namor is a big part of Cyclops' kind of like West Coast team. Um, he does also become an Avenger. Very briefly, I don't remember. There's a lot of I don't remember that many comics with him in it. But his big thing was he was a defender. So Doctor Strange ended up setting up a team, consisting of Valkyrie, the Hulk, Namor, the Submariner. I think um someone else was in there. I can't remember who. Um, the like Doctor Strange defenders. Definitely not this one. Um, let's see. Uh, I'm talking about this one. If I'm not mistaken, there was yeah, it was Namor. Huh? Namor, Valkyrie, the Hulk. There was. I swear to God, there was someone else. Silver Surfer was the other person. Um, he was the other defender there. That's why a lot of their fights would take place with like mystical like space characters. Because like the Hulk could just punch them. Valkyrie was a character from mythology. He was pretty much the king of the seas, and Doctor Strange was the sorcerer supreme, and Silver Surfer was the herald of Galactus. So it's like most of the characters they fought were like spacefaring characters. But perhaps most uncertain, his most uncertain membership was with the secretive Illuminati, consisting of Reed Richards, the Black Panther, Black Bolt, Tony Stark, Professor Xavier, and Doctor Strange. Um, its clandestine purpose was to monitor and influence world events, yet the Submariner felt the Illuminati's moral stance were too restrictive, which often brought him to conflict with Wakanda's ruler, King T'Challa, the Black Panther. This precipitated Namor's departure. He was like, I was a fool to have consented to be a part of this impotent Illuminati. You accomplish nothing with your endless meetings and debates. The Subsea Monarch more than once found himself fighting alongside the Avengers against enemies too great for any single superhero to handle, while the Submariner's own moral foes such as Tiger Shark, Orca the Killer Whale, Piranha, Lyra, and Naga of Lemuria wait in the shadows, ever ready to wreak more havoc on Namor's already tragic life. And all the while, Namor's fascination with Sue Richards, um, whatever the hell this symbol here is, Knee Storm, has not subsided. Um, yeah. Um, whether in or out of the Illuminati, the Submariner continues to play a major role in the resolution of several world-shaking events. The Undersea King was imbued with the cosmic powers of the mighty Phoenix on two separate occasions, after which it abandoned him. This is him as a part of the Phoenix Force 5. Um, this was during the Avengers versus X-Men stuff. I cannot spell. Um, so here's Namor, Cyclops, Emma Frost, Magic, and Colossus. They all it's like a cosplay version of them. But yeah, they were imbued with the Phoenix Force after it tried to enter Cyclops' daughter, Hope, and it was stopped by Iron Man. Like Iron Man shot like a giant laser cannon at it, and then it split up, and then ended up entering all five of them. The end result has I don't think I ever did talk about the Avengers versus X Men. But Cyclops gets arrested um for the death of someone. It was very sad. Um, yeah. Hope ends up so like it was because at the time there was like no mutants, like there was a disease killing all the mutants, and so the Phoenix Force 5 at first were like heroes and whatnot, but as it turned towards like the Dark Phoenix, and like its death, Hope had to kind of step in, and she ended up like saving the world and restoring human like mutant kind or whatever. It's a pretty good comic if you guys want to see it. You guys know where to vote. But he also aided in the underground resistance during the Secret Empire affairs with the evil organization Hydra, when the Secret temporarily conquered the United States. And Namor was an instrument in bringing about the defeat of the cosmic menace of Null, which is the latest big event, which was the King in Black, or the Supreme Symbiote, whose existence went back countless eons. Um, though his though all his trials and travails both as adversaries and allies of the surface world's inhabitants. This royal figure, Prince uh, of the Blood, has displayed an unserving loyalty to the subsea domain, even though of late he has been cast out of Atlantis, alone among Earth's denizens, being equally at home on land in the beckoning skies or in the cold embrace of his beloved sea. Namor remains one of the true submariners of legend, Imperious Rex, which Imperious Rex is actually Latin. It is his catchphrase, kind of like how Wakanda has Wakanda Forever. He has Imperious Rex, which means Empire King. It is his way of saying, it is his like go-to call. Like when they say Wakanda Forever, he says Imperious Rex, and like his army would fight. It's pretty cool. But that first or well his the like Marvel, what the fuck was it? The Infinity comic, yeah. Here I did bring you Marvel #1, which is his debut comic. He debuts in the middle of so it's like a bunch of characters. So you have the Human Torch, the Angel, the Submariner, and the Mass Raider. The Angel is not clear as we're in Worthington the Third. It is just someone else. But yeah, and they also have Kazar down here. But it does originally introduce the first Human Torch, the Machine. Um, and who eventually does become Vision. And then of course Namor the Submariner. So here's a Submariner, an ultra deep man of the deep, lives on land and in the seas, flies in the air, has the strength of a thousand men, is a youth of dynamic personality, quick though and fast action. From whence does he come, and what is his mission? Yeah, so he debuted in Marvel #1, the very first Marvel comic, and I think at the time Marvel was still Timely Comics. It wasn't up until the Fantastic Four debuted that Marvel shifted from Timely to Marvel Comics officially. I might be wrong about this. This might be Marvel's first like the official Marvel Studios like comic company's first comic, but I know for a really long time, up until the debut of the Fantastic Four or around that time, it was Timely Comics. Yeah, because they Captain America also debuted during Timely, um, and Captain America debuted after World War II happened after this. So it was during Timely, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but it starts with the salvage ship diver coming up, right? And the diving platform is hoisted and swung to the deck of the salvage ship's SS Recovery. And you know, they're like, "How do you feel, Nelson?" And he's like, "Oh, okay, Chief," but kind of puzzled. There's something screwy about that wreck. Sometime later, the diver Rod Nelson steps from the decompression chamber and is asked what he found at the bottom. He's like, "I found the safe in the main saloon, all right, but it looks like somebody got here before we did. The safe's empty. Then to it looks like whoever rifled it hasn't been gone long. There was a knife on deck and it hadn't even been rusted." Hey, that's strange, Nelson. There's been no report of any other salvage ships in these waters for 3 years. We ourselves have been cruising here for a week, and we've seen no sign of life at all. It's like, well, there's only one thing to do. I'll have to send you down again with Carly to see what evidence you can pick up. They might have left something by which we can identify them, right? And so he's like, okay, send Carly ahead. I'll be there. I'll be with you in a minute. And so they drop Carly. He's like, I'll set Carly. I'll drop the acetine torch as soon as you hit the bottom. And so Carly settles beneath the surface, little knowing the phenomenon he and Nelson are about to witness. So here's Carly at the bottom, and he's like, "Say, Rod, did you leave that side hatch open, or was it sprung in the wreck?" He's like, "No, it was closed when I was down before. There's something uncanny about this, right?" On the sea bottom, they converse by telephone. So yeah, the wires that they're attached to is like a phone that talks to each other and the people up top. And it's kind of fitting how this is the way it is. Um, Being as there's a big deep sea thing during the movie. Um, but either way, they're like, come on, Rod, let's get inside. Turn on your light. We may need it. And so, good Lord, Carly, what's that? He's like, oh, it's a swimmer, right? And he's like, but we're so far down underwater that it can't be. No human can live in this pressure. How? And he's disappeared. Was he swimming? There's no way he can be dead, right? Um, and he's like, let's follow him. He can't have gone far. So he turns on the torch, but the swimmer eludes them and with long strokes of his powerful arms rises to the deck of the sunken ship. He's like, here he looks cautiously about him and sees that the cables running from the divers to the surface of the water. Um, those robots, they can't be men. Why? They're mechanical and so ponderous, yet they're shaped like men, and certainly they're not fish. I wonder, one of them had some kind of fire weapon. I better get out of here, right? And so he goes around to their wires and he pulls out his knife and he's like, so these must be the control wires. I'll fix it so that they can't follow me. And with 5 quick strokes, the swimmer cuts the air holes, telephone cables, and acetine torch tube. And so now they're stuck underwater. And this is kind of like the vibe you get of it is like underwater horror, right? Because like imagine being these dudes. Like you're kind of freaking you're a dunzo, bro. And he's like, holy smokes, our lines are cut. Calling the surface, they know there's no answer. The divers, realizing their predicament, quickly shut their air valves in their helmets, thus imprisoning the air in their suits. Telephone wires severed. They're cut off from all communications. The submariner darts through the door and attacks the divers. Stabbing one violently, he drops his knife and seizes the other's helmet and crushes it between his powerful hands. So he's pretty much just like, dude, that guy's dead as hell. It's like on deck of the recovery, the mate sees bubbles on the water surface, which warn him of the tragedy below. He's like, Nelson, Carly, Nelson, the wires are dead. And he's like, all right, send them down fast. Is that bosun? Bosun? Whatever. And in a moment, the 40s, am I right? Anderson finds the crushed bodies of Carly and Nelson, and the submariner watches from seclusion. Right? Frightened and risking the bends, Anderson hauls himself rapidly to the surface. Back on deck in the decompression chamber, Anderson gasps out his report. The mate orders all hands to get the ship underway. He's like, we'll have to report this to the Coast Guard. Peters, man the anchor winch. And so the anchor starts coming up. But from the depths of the submariner, the submariner sees the powerful propellers and begin to churn as the anchor is hoisted. And with the speed of a bullet, he springs upward and with a superhuman strength seizes the rudder, jamming it into the jamming it to the right. He stops the starboard propeller with his bare hands. And then in the engine room, the first assistant reports excitedly to the bridge. It's like starboard propeller fouled, sir. And he's like, what's that? He's like, good lord, sir. The rudder winch seems out of order. The ship won't respond. Right, unable to repair the unknown damage, the captain orders the engine stopped. But uncannily, the ship proceeds headed for a coastal reef, and the crew becomes panicky. With extraordinary strength, the submariner gives the unfortunate ship a terrific shove, and the recovery crashes highly onto the rocks, splitting completely into two. Elated at his feat of his own strength, the submariner dives back into the submerged wreck. He is not green. If you guys want to know why the colors are like this does look really colorful, I know, but Marvel could only at the time print certain colors, um, which is why in some instances the Hulk is gray. Um, they must have at this point like just gotten the color green and wanted to like test it out or some stuff. Um, but but yeah. I know at the time like Marvel couldn't print in their new stuff like the color like certain colors. Um, why he's green though is kind of puzzling me. It might be a printing issue. Um, or it could be Everett just being stylistic. But gathering the divers' bodies in his arms, he speeds off through the water. His winged feet propel him rocket-like into the greater depths, and presently he faces a mammoth door in a secluded grotto. It opens at his commands, and he calls for Dama to open. He enters a huge chapel-like chamber and is addressed by a beautiful robed creature on the throne at the far end of the hall. And he's like, ah, well, Namor, privileged one, what manner of prize dost thou bring me today? This is the current king. Remember, he eventually does get crowned when this guy dies. Um, that I cannot truthfully say, Holy One, but thou shalt see for thyself. These I came upon and conquered, surprising them as they raided the earth's men der- derelict. They came from a floating ship which I have wrecked with my great strength. I give them to you and pray you may be pleased. So yeah, he calls him Holy One. So they reference this in the movie, but Namor the Submariner, like the Black Panther, serves not only as a religious figure and as a he serves as a religious figure and as a leader. Um, so he is the eventual. He's the Prince of Atlantis, eventual King of Atlantis, but also as their spiritual figure. Some of them, in the movie, if you guys have seen the trailer, they reference him as Kukul Khan, the serpent feathered god, right? Which is funny because he's a fish with wings, right? There's like a sea serpent fish thing. He also does have like scales on his pants there. Um, his like little blue pants here have or green pants there have like scales on them, so it's pretty funny. Um, Great sharks, Namor. What type of prize dost thou call these? He's like, open their casements. Let's see what they're made of. And he does, and he's like, with infinite caution, the helmets are unscrewed and lifted off. Holy Mother of Neptune, they are Earthmen. And he's like, congratulations, my son. You have made a good beginning in our way of revenge. And it's his mother. He's like, why mother? He's like, Karal, I command thee to ossify these creatures, set them to the royal chambers where they may be seen as an example to our worthy people. And he's like, oh, done, your highness. And he's like, but mother, I don't understand. Why are Earth people so bad? Wasn't my father an Earthman? He's like, yes, my son, a fine man, but his people were cruel. They invaded our ancient home deep in the waters at the South Pole and nearly exterminated our entire race. I met your father in the year 1920 when a great ship, the Oracle, came from America on a scientific expedition. Your father commander Leonard Mackenzie was the captain, and they made their base on an ice floe directly above our city. If you guys, I did talk about Namor the Submariner and his parents' kind of like expedition prior to this during my like Marvel timeline. It is towards the end, but um and it's the reason why they use Namor during Wakanda Forever during the event of the meteorite crashing into Wakanda, right? Um, the meteorite, um, is what Bast led Bashenga to the meteorite, and Bashenga was able to take the herb and become the Black Panther, right? Because it was infused with the radiation from the um, vibranium. Bashenga's, or I guess the meteorite of vibranium that came from space, split, right? It's the mound, the large percentage of it is in Wakanda, but there is a percentage of it that landed in the Atlantic and a percentage of it that landed in what people call the Savage Lands, which is in the North Pole, right? Or yeah, the North Pole. It is like a patch of grass where like dinosaurs roam and whatnot. It's pretty cool. Um, but that's kind of like around where Atlantis is, I guess. But yeah, during the weeks that followed, we were tormented with bombardments of nigh explosives. Our castle were demolished. Our husbands, wives, mothers, and even children were killed in droves. So the White Earthmen were blasting us out of existence with their infernal scientific, the way they spell it, pretty funny. Investigations. Soon, many more ships arrived, and finally, in desperation, our elders commanded an army to be formed, and I, most nearly was resembling the female of the white race, was invested as a spy. Thou, Fen, beautiful goddess of the seals, thou shalt find thy way into the hands of these white monsters, there to work your feminine whilst to our radical advantage. Get thee hence while there is yet time. And so I was, that on that same night, I was found hunched up and shivering in a ship's hold just um, after the main mast. It's like, great heavens, a stowaway, Captain, come quick. Not realizing what I was or why I was there, and thinking me of their own race, they hurried me to the commander, who to the commander, who, good man that he was, decided that I was insufficiently clad for that climate. After giving me heavy clothes in which I nearly suffocated, they fed me some of their food. Um, what it was I didn't know, but it made me violently ill. The commander took pity on me, and although I could not understand his language, tried to comfort me with words. Within a very short time, we became fast friends, and I began to learn their strange tongue. They could never understand, though, how I could swim so much in the extreme cold water. Of course, frequently, for we submariners cannot live out of water for longer than 5 hours at a stretch, and many of us cannot live even that long. Yeah, this gets changed, at least for the Submariner. Um, well, as time went on, the commander and I fell in love and were married by their own ritual, and all the while I was giving secret information back to our people. It's like, we cannot win, master. They are too mighty, and they were too mighty. For even as our army assembled for the first counterattack, there came a terrible bombardment from above which destroyed all but a mere handful of us. And so, my son, it has taken us 20 years to build up a race to avenge the brutal harm done to us. Now, since you are the only one of us left who can live on land and water, and who can also fly in the air, and because you have the strength of 1,000 Earthmen, it is your duty to lead us into battle. You have begun well, but you must use strategy and great care. Go now to the land of the white people. And so Namor the Avenging Sun faces the surface men of the world in what promises to be mortal combat. Hey, they don't own the rights to that. But in the adjourning chamber, Namor meets his cousin, young Dorma. Wait, what? Bro, he marries her? Huh? Huh? Okay, I'm not wrong. He does marry her. Man, monarchs be damned, bro. Anyway, he tells her of his commission and his proposed trip. He's like, "Oh, Namor, how wonderful! Take me with you, please." He's like, "It will be too dangerous, Orma, but you may accompany me part way. Come now, we must hurry." But won't we have to take some equipment with us, Namor? He's like, deciding that equipment willingly hamper their progress, they travel light and leave the underwater castle with the heartfelt best wishes of their entire tribe. After traveling for 2 days at lightning speed, they stop for a rest and come to the surface at first sight of civilization. Like, this must be Cape and a lighthouse, Dorma. It gives me an idea. We can start our crusade right here. You see, if we demolish this lighthouse, it will endanger many ships and perhaps destroy them. It'll be our first move. Wow, he'll really get to them hitting a lighthouse. I mean, I'm sure during the 40s though, it was kind of like the biggest thing ever. Um, there's no telling how many people occupy the lighthouse. We must take no chances. When the guard opens the door, I'll jump him and rush inside to wreck the controls. If anyone comes, yell to me. He's like, quietly now, I hear someone coming. But look at her face. But she's seen some shit. Um, and so he's like, hello, what? And then he just gets jumped by Namor. Like, imagine this dude being this dude, right? Someone knocks on your door. You're like, huh, who could that be? You open and there's some dude with like wings on his feet and like pointy ears, sucker punch, and he's just in his underwear, just sucker punches the crap out of you. Like, that must be funny. Like your mates, they come to like check up on you, and they're like, so what happened? Some dude with wings sucker punched the crap, and his boxers sucker punched the crap out of me. That must be pretty funny. Um, and he's like, oh, Namor, quick help. And so he, hits some levers, smashes some boxes, blah blah blah. But Dorma, his future wife, ends up getting taken, and so he freaking flies over at the dude and chucks him into the ocean. Look at this. Bro gets thrown. Bro gets flung. And then, she points out, she's like, Namor, look. And there's this dude with a gun. And so he flies up like a flash. Namor leaps to the window. It's like, oh no, my friend. You don't get away that easy. And while he beats the crap out of him, the guard shrieks in agony as Namor smashes mercilessly blow after blow. And he drops him down the stairs of a lighthouse. Like that thing big enough to like help ships guide through night. He just drops him down an entire like the flight of stairs that is. It's like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, look out, Dorma, coming down. And he's like, come on, girl, we've got to get to the top. We'll wreck the beacon light and take off as soon as we can. And so he does. He, takes a shovel and smashes the light. It's like, hurry, Namor, we're being surrounded. And like, say, who, who are these people? Where did they come from? He's like, I don't know, Chief, but they're sure raising heck with the light. And he's like, Dorma, there's our escape. When that plane flies near, we'll make a dive for it. Hold tight now. With speed of an arrow, Namor's winged feet shoot them straight for the plane. Quietly now and hurry. We must get rid of the pilot. Namor hurls himself upwards and grapples with the pilot. The airman is no test for Namor's superhuman strength, and with a terrific blow, Namor sends him flying into space. Dorma, I'll have to leave you now. Wreck the ship somewhere and swim back home. I'll get in touch with you later. And so that's pretty much the end of the comic. Dorma will leave on the ship, and Namor ends up diving into the ocean on his way to further adventures in his crusade against the white man. And that is the end of this comic. But again, the long question is, can Namor the Submariner, you know, take on the Hulk? And so they establish this in this comic clearly. When Namor the Submariner takes on the Hulk. So um, this was written by Stan Lee, Stan the Man Lee, and Mary the She Severin, who was a female writer at the time of Marvel Comics. I don't know who she is. She's not a big person, like big name person. Um, Mary, what's her name? Severin. Severin. Oh, I feel like I know who she is, but I also feel like I don't know who she is. No. Interesting. Um, but also, it starts with Namor over here watching the Hulk, and he's like, the Hulk plunging to his death atop southwestern peak. I could save him, and what an invincible ally that would be, right? And so he gets rid of his his cloak or cape, I guess. He's like, in my own subjects have branded me as a traitor. There are none to whom I may turn. I, Namor, the first prince of Atlantis, am friendless and forsaken, but I shall be no longer. In all the vast underseas realm, none are more powerful than I. And upon the accursed surface world, the green-skinned Hulk is the mightiest of them all. Together we'll be invincible, right? And so, if I'm not mistaken, this does predate. Hmm, this should predate the Avengers because he does end up teaming up with him. This was back during Tales to Astonish, I think. Yeah, this was the second to last issue of Tales to Astonish, number 100, which it debuted in February 1st of 1968. If you guys are interested. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of Hulk versus the Submariner build up. So hold on, how many Hulk and the Submariner comics are there? Holy crap! There's the Submariner and Hulk, Hulk and the Submariner. Holy crap! Okay, hold on. From or issue 70 forward is just the Submariner and the Hulk. Like, I guess they're two separate tales that combine into the one. There's also Giant Man and the Hulk and whatnot. Is that the leader? Looks like it. Um, Ant-Man and the Wasp battle Porcupine. Yeah, Tales to Astonish was the big like Ant-Man thing. I yeah. And that's when I covered. I think this is what I used to cover Groot. Did I not? Yeah. Um. Well, I haven't covered Groot yet, but when I do, trust that I will. Um. But yeah, Tales to Astonish. Especially prior to superheroes, comics were mostly monster fights, right? So it's like, oh, the giant ant is attacking. A giant ant is attacking Manhattan because it ate like this giant like thing that turns people giant, like Ant-Man's thing, right? And it's like, oh, how do we fix it? Well, let's get a giant anteater, and then they do. That's an actual comic, in case you guys wanted to know. But getting back to this, then after tireless hours of tireless swimming at twice the speed of the fastest torpedo, it's like at last the southeast of the United States. But what is this? Surfacemen upon a boat, daring to fire at me. If it be Neptune's will that I so soon be plunged into battle, then battle it shall be. And so of course they're like, look, the shell bounced off of him, and so he's like, Miles, he's like, oh, no need to call me. I know what is transpiring. So miles away, um, they don't suspect that I see every move, but who can it be that's attacking them? Then my plan was foolproof. My construct my By constructing puppets of the two-man crew of the world's most valuable hydrofoil ship, I could control their every movement. I ordered them to bring the priceless experiment craft to me and to shoot anyone who tries to interfere, but now something pursues them faster than any craft afloat. Um, we can't escape him. He's gaining on us. He's look out, and he tips over the boat. And none may attack the regal person of Namor the First. Like the Submariner, he is who has defeated the Puppet Master in the past. He still lives. This being the guy that's like trying to get the boat. So he's trying to get the boat back, and Namor is interfering because they shot at him. And he's like, but he will no longer live. See them clinging helplessly to the crippled craft. Um, there they shall remain till aid can reach them. So let the world so let the word issue forth. Namor is returned. Let the surface world tremble. Right. Okay. And one there is who does tremble in anticipation. The hydrofoil no longer interests me, but I have found a bigger prize. Each time I tried to each time I tried to control the Submariner, met with bleak defeat. But this time I won't try to control Namor. I find a cat's paw. I'll find a cat's paw who. Wait, the newspaper. I just remembered something. He's like Hulk buried under landslide. He's like, of course, the Hulk. He's the one I need. Only he has the strength to crush the Submariner. The Hulk will get my revenge for me without even knowing whom he serves. No more landslides could kill green skinned brute. All I need to do is create a puppet likeness, which is child's play for a genius like me. Then a special treatment to activate my radioactive clay, and the job is done. Now my will is his will. My every wish is his absolute command. The first thing I must do is revive him and have him dig himself free. Then his mission will be to kill the Submariner. Seconds later, somewhere in the great southwest, awaken Hulk. The puppet master commands it. You must obey for I hold the glowing puppet. He's like, I must obey, and so the Hulk must get free. The puppet master commands it, and so he does, and he like literally punches his way out of a rock slide. He is even stronger than I dared to hope. The unsuspecting Namor will be like a sacrificial lamb to him, and though the victor is his, the triumph shall be mine. Like while at the base of the fateful peak, we see he's like, we gotta find the body. We must be certain he's dead. He's like, bring up the blasting crew. He's like, no, General, wait, you can't. For all we know, he's still alive. But if he is, the explosion will finish him. It's like, no matter what he's done, he's a human being. He's my friend. He saved my life. You can't just kill him. He's like, what do you think I want to do? I've got no choice, boy. Um, in case you guys are wondering, this is a random cop. This is Thunderbolt Ross, and this is Rick Jones, the kid that was pushed out of the way when Hulk's gamma bomb, or when Bruce's gamma bomb activated, turning him into the Hulk. Um, but yeah, he's like, what do you think I want to do it? I've got no choice, boy. He's like, we can't leave until we find him one way or another. He's too dangerous to be unaccounted for. He's like, I know, I'm just a kid and nobody from nowhere's. I'm just a kid and nobody from Nowheresville, but I can't let it end like this. He's the greatest guy in the whole world. And he's like, take that boy away, Major Talbot. It's like, for our own feelings don't matter. We have a job to do. It's like, but then before another move can be made, it's him. He's free, and he pretty much plunges out of the rock slide. He's like, Jones, wait, come back. It isn't safe. He's like, he wouldn't hurt me, not the Hulk. And all who lives, all who live are your deadly enemies. You must trust no one, listen to no one except for the voice of the puppet master. It's like, I'll trust nobody. It's like, Hulk, the General and Major Talbot, they want to help you. This is your chance to start a new life. Why don't you answer me? It's like, Hulk listens to no one and, daps him away. And then he's like, excellent, excellent. Now leap to safety before they can stop you. He's like, nobody stops the Hulk. He's like, get a medic. The boy's hurt. He's like, I'm assuming when the Hulk taps you like that, you're pretty much getting like slammed. He's like, Talbot was right about him. He's a menace, a brainless bestial monster who strikes for no cause. But I'll get you, Hulk. If it takes forever, I'll get you. Thunderbolts Ross chasing of the Hulk, circa 1940, whatever. And he's like, perfect. Now all I need to do is lead the Hulk to where my victim stands, and with those gigantic leaps of his, he'll reach the spots in a matter of minutes. And he's like, then true to the Puppet Master's perspicacious predictions, he's like, what a fantastic turn of fate! Is it he whom I speak, whom I seek? He's like, you have reached your goal. Remember, you have but one order, one inviolate command: destroy the Submariner. He's like, I will remember. He's like, hear me, Hulk. I have come to the surface world to make you an offer. Since we are both powerful beyond description and we both are outcasts, I propose we join forces. His eyes expressions of naked maniacal hatred. He's like, the Hulk joins forces with no one. You are Hulk's enemy. And Hulk slams him across. He's like, witless clod, I come to you in friendship and you attack me for no cause? It's like, never shall a prince of the blood refuse a hurled down gauntlet. If battle be called for, the battle shall there be. And he swings at him. He's like, if you think me weaker than you because I'm smaller in stature, then I shall ensure you that you think so no more. But although struck by a blow that would fell a killer whale, the Incredible Hulk once more lunges out. He's like, he stands, strike back, Namor must not escape. And no matter how strong you are in the water, we're on land where I'm the most powerful. And he slams him upwards. He's like, on your feet, so Hulk can finish you fast. He was right. Here upon the land, the advantage is his. Thus, um, I must change the arena wherein we fight. I must lure him into following me into the nearby sea. Um, how does it feel, Bestial One? Have you have struck your most potent blow, and still I survive to defy you. It's like Namor is trying to goad him now, make him lose his temper. Or he's trying to goad him to make him lose his temper. I won't allow this. He must strike now. He's like, don't talk to him, don't listen to him. Can't you see he's trying to trick you? Don't don't give him another chance. Attack him now. Crush the Submariner at once. There's no stopping him. No reasoning with him. Have you forgotten? Have you soon forgotten, Hulk, how the Submariner can fly? It's like your winged feet mean nothing. You can't escape me. He's right. Wherever I can fly, he can leap. Which is why I'll lure him into the beckoning sea. Yeah. So this takes place after the events of the Avengers. During the event in which the Hulk is by himself, and Namor is also an outcast. They're both outcasts, I guess. Now when we fall to Earth, the Hulk can take the crash better than you. It's like perhaps, but you'll never get a chance to find out. For 'tis not helpless human victim you attack. Not even the Hulk's hand grip can long hold the true heir of Father Neptune. He's like his arm, grab him quickly. We must not fail. He's like, nah. While Namor talks, the Hulk acts. But you are too late. The pause needed to um check my plunge, and now the trees have broken your fall. You lumbering green-skinned fool. He was too swift for you. Don't try to outmaneuver him. You haven't the skin or the brains, the skill or the brains. Your only a weapon is force, merciless, unyielding brute force. You must use it. Like the goaded by the puppet master's skating words. He seized me in a grip of steel. He's like that's it. Now destroy him. No matter how powerful he is, he can still be hurt. He can still be slain. At least I picked the perfect one to do it. Wait, am I seeing things? He's hurling him away, far away. He's like, no, you fool. Oh, okay. So yeah, the Hulk grabbed his arm, then chucked him and spun him and threw him. And he's like, no, you fool. You brainless, bumbling, moronic fool. You did the one thing that might save him. Go after him, you green-skinned gargoyle. He mustn't escape now. If only I could stop the voices in my head. And he's like, while soaring through the air at near missile speed, I've got to slow myself down. Make my ankle wings act as brakes. Mustn't overshoot the seas, going too fast to land on hard ground. I'm almost at the coast. Must exert still more force. My life depends on it. I have to create increased wind resistance. Only seconds left. Look at his tiny little wings, bro. Beep, 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 beep. Anyway, uh, while many miles to the east, the only way to lose voice in my head is to go after the Submariner. Before the Incredible Hulk self-propelled leap can bring him to his quarry, Submariner dives and crashes. Like I brought myself down to the sea. Soon my strength will reach full peak, and at that moment, a raging Submariner ponders the same fateful question. By Neptune's sacred trident, the Hulk must die. So swears the Namor, the true Submariner. The water, to me, is life. It has restored my supreme amphibious strength. Once again, I am monarch of all I survey. So long as the sea is ever near, not even the power of the Hulk can stop me now. And so the final phase, one of the world's most unforgettable battles, is about to begin. It's like I see him, though my strength is restored. It's still he still dares to pursue me. Submariner is in the air above me. One more leap and I'll have him again. And so he charges his leap. But before the greenskin rampager can take to the air, he's diving down, attacking me. And he says his voice line, Imperious Rex. No, it's not another hurricane. It's even worse. The Hulk is battling the Submariner. The guys at the like beach or whatever, the resort or whatever. If someone doesn't stop them, they'll tear the city apart. But who or what can stop the two strongest living mortals on Earth? Here in the water, it is Namor who attacks. Though his massive lungs can remain submerged for longer than other humans, the power is mine. But it is not Hulk alone whom Namor battles. He's like, "Oh, get out, you fool! You dare not remain submerged any longer. You're no match for Namor in his own element." He begins to weaken. I can sense it. He's like, "Out, get out, any way at all. Jump. Brace yourselves against the wall. Hurry, hurry! You've got to leap before he reaches you." And in obedience to the puppet master's mental command, the most powerful legs in the world hurled the tormented Titan forward. He's like, Hulk must obey. And so powerful the leap, so indescribably shattering is the force of the impact. It's like, you did it, you're in the clear again. Once you're in the air, the odds are with us. Whatever you do, don't let him return to the water, not while he lives. While from border to border and coast to coast, the battle bulletins are transmitted at once. He's like, it's still anyone's fight. The two of them seem indestructible. The police have been ordered to keep hands off. Looks like the Pentagon's taking over, sir. Troops are being rushed from all bases. It's like, General, um, let me head its special attack force armed with missiles. I'll stop them. He's like, it's not easy. It's not that easy. Blast it. You can't fire missiles over a populated area. We can't destroy Miami. Um, which is, I guess, where they are. But even as the military ponders its next move, I must finish him while my water-induced strength still remains. Away, monstrous one. Def Defend yourself, for Namor gives no quarter. Don't shoot. It's useless. All we can do is keep the crowds back. Looks like this is the payoff. No words other than of ours can do justice to what follows. Hence, no words shall now intrude. And they're just beating the crap out of each other. It's just literally like um So yeah, he swings and whatnot, and then the Submariner takes the air, thinking he can catch his breath, then attack again. But the Hulk will stop him. But leaping in pursuit of his foe, the Hulk accidentally strikes a hovering whirlybird. Um, Plane stopped my jump. I have to leap again. I have to land and leap again. The Hulk cannot fly. He can only jump. He doesn't even realize the pilot is plunging to his doom. Might, Mighty as the Hulk may be, only Namor can do what must be done. With his bare hands, the desperate Atlantean shatters the plexiglass dome as though it is made of paper. I wish no cause to the death of innocent beings. And then with a split seconds to spare, he's like, I must move with the speed of striking sharks, for the Hulk is almost upon me. He approaches now, but Namor stands steady. This is your final. This is your chance. He's right in front of you. He must not leave the beach alive. Hulk does not want to kill. You must. You must. He's like, no, no. Obey me or die. Something's amiss, and the giant is sorely troubled. He hesitates as though lacking the will to continue. I must um, seize this rare advantage. It's like, success, we're in the sea once more, the sea where Namor is king. Approach me, bestial one. 'Tis now your moment of dark defeat. You leaped as I knew you. And I guess he leaps. He's like, you leaped as I knew you would. But not all your bludgeoning power can match the aquatic speed of the avenging sun. The sea is mine to command, mine to control, mine to employ as I will. Fight back, you fool, before it's too late. What is it? That's it, you did it. Knew you could do it. The Hulk ends up escaping. But must escape. The voice in my head, evil voice that will not let me rest. But this is no time. There is no escape. Back, bestial one, back to the retribution of Namor. Once again, the Prince of the Deep begins his awesome attack, churning the sea into a living. I'm not saying that word. Until Hulk, I can't reach him. I've lost contact. How did it happen? The Hulk had the power and I had the control, but one thing was missing. The one vital element. He didn't possess the killer instinct. He wasted the extra strength he needed trying to resist my commands, and now it's too late. Up above, coming out of the sea, a monstrous tidal wave. Namor caused it with his steady gyrations, with his accursed born power. He couldn't know. He couldn't suspect that this lonely, seemingly deserted desert island is the secret headquarters of the Puppet Master. But there is no place to run, no shelter to escape. It can't end like this. It can't. The plan was mine. The plan was mine. It can't become its its victim. I can't become its victim. No. But fate has a will of its own, and in the space of a single heartbeat, the entire isle is inundated by a 100-foot high wall of water, which seeps all before it with deafening roar. Minutes later, the torrent subsided as the ghostly stillness is finally shattered by a soaring figure. It was not in my heart to cause his death, thus I allowed him to be washed ashore. But now I must find him again, lest he attack again. There is only there on shore. I'm on shore below. It must be no, but no, it is too frail, too small. For long puzzled moments, Prince Namor studies the exhausted figure beneath him, little dreaming that he has found the one he seeks, the person of a non-transformed Bruce Banner. He stirs, begins to waken, but he is of little interest to the Submariner. Perhaps the Hulk has perished. If so, he is richly deserving of such a fate. As for me, the sea still beckons, and Namor must ever answer her eternal call. So wrapped in his own thoughts, it is that the departing monarch doesn't notice the small puppet slowly sinking beneath the surf, the final dying vestige of mankind's master plan. But yeah, that was this comic Hulk versus Namor. Who would win? Again, in the ocean, while retaining his aquatic powers, Namor is pretty much unbeatable. He is very similar to Aquaman, but on land, Hulk is still pretty much the stronger foe, right? Or stronger of the two. But that is Namor the Submariner. I kind of do want to talk a little bit about his character during Wakanda Forever, but also too, I kind of like it's kind of pre-established, so um they wanted to change him. He's like a full on like Central American, Hispanic, Mesoamerican kind of character. As they changed the culture from him being like a Atlantean white looking dude to a like more Mesoamerican kind of person. To fit that like Atlantis is in the like is in Central America. It's more of like a cultural thing. Um, I guess it technically does make sense because like the Caribbeans and Central America and whatnot would be where Atlantis technically should be. Um, but yeah, that's been Namor the Submariner. He is by far my favorite villain in the MCU so far. I think Thanos was really good. I think Killmonger was great. I think that who am I missing? Ultron was pretty good. Of a character, I think he was very underrated. But I think that Namor the Submariner by far has been my favorite character in the MCU, like villain in this character so far. Just the way that he was played by the guy that played him. I'm gonna butcher his name. Um I'm going to butcher his name. It's like Huerta, Tena Huerta, yeah, Tecnoc Huerta. He plays Namor the Submariner. He was in Narcos Mexico and whatnot. He actually like killed his role. Like I don't think anyone here didn't kill their role. Um, like obviously, not everyone here is in. They mix the two casts together. Um, because clearly not in the movie. He passed away. But with this with this cast here, like definitely like Namor killed it, Shuri killed it. Dominique Thorne's Ironheart was like 10 out of 10. I promise. I have her lined up. I have the Black Panther, Shuri, Ironheart lined up. I just did Namor. Thanks, Stoopy, if you are in chat. He made my thumbnails today. Um, but yeah, Namor is by far my one of my favorite characters so far in the MCU. Um, and Wakanda Forever was just such an amazing movie. Really good tribute to Chadwick Boseman. Who was by far like the perfect fit for a Black Panther. Um, Regarding Marvel news, the anniversary of Stan Lee's death was 2 days ago. He passed away on the 12th. Stanley shirt. Um, and recently, I know he's technically not a Marvel person, but Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman during the Batman the Animated Series, passed away 4 days ago. Very sad. But um, there's some other news that I did want to get to. If you guys are uninterested in spoilers for Wakanda Forever or any future events relating to the MCU, I would suggest you guys leave now. But here, I'll catch you guys down. Perfect. All right. So with that in mind, the events of Wakanda Forever, they Everett was working for. If you guys remember Everett Ross from the first Black Panther movie, he was in also this movie, and he's working for, if I'm not mistaken, it was the FBI or the CIA or something. I think it was the CIA, and the head of the CIA was what's her face? The one chick, the person that I believe to be Madam Hydra, um, Countessa Valentina, Madam Hydra. Not her. That is Viper. Uh, I didn't put the L at the end. Valentina, yeah. I'm pretty sure she is in some way, shape, or form Madam Hydra. Um, but she does appear in Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever as a member of the CIA. She's working with Ross here. Let me lift this up. She's working with Ross, or well, she bugs Ross and has him arrested. As she wants the vibraniums for herself, so she sends out task force and whatnot. The movie begins, or it has a scene towards the beginning with a underwater expedition team. Um, for those wondering, the female, and I know Crown got upset at me when we went to see the movie because I thought in the post credit scene it was going to be Doctor Doom, but Lucia von Bardis, this lady, was technically the pilot, her, um, in Wakanda Forever. Like Blake Bell's character is Lucia von Bardis. So I technically was not wrong. For those wondering, it is her. The girl in the helicopter is Lucia von Bardis, the like right hand man of Doctor Doom. Um, so they are definitely setting up Doctor Doom. Um, this character, they're definitely setting up Doctor Doom. I wasn't wrong, and there was technically, if I'm not mistaken, supposed to be a Doctor Doom um cameo in Wakanda Forever. I think he was supposed to be at the post credit scene. There's a lot of teaser images and faked images of Doctor Doom, like a stand-in Doctor Doom. Um, but there's only one post credit scene. It's the one with technically Akaze. But yes, Lucia von Bardis was set to make her appear, or she did make her appearance in Wakanda Forever. That is why she looks human, and then she has all the cybernetics attachments. I'm assuming it's because she crashes into the ocean. So the way it works is, let's see if I find that picture again with her. So if you guys remember, she gets on the helicopter, right? And she gets on the helicopter and flies off, and then the Atlanteans pull them in, and the helicopter crashes into the ocean, right? So she ends up becoming the cybernetic woman, Lucia von Bardis, and she's a spy working for the American government. She's an American spy, or she's a spy for Doctor Doom. She works for Doctor Doom, and she's pretty much wanting the Americans to take the vibranium from the Wakandans so that she can take the vibranium for Doctor Doom, right? That was her whole plan there. She obviously fails and crashes, and then becomes this cybernetic person. Lucia von Bartis, right? If you guys remember her from Ultimate Alliance, this is what she looks like. She's like the first villain in Ultimate Alliance. Um, but yeah, let's see, display capture. Her, this lady, Lucia von Bartis. Um, and she will reappear. She will reappear. That's cosplay. She will reappear with Riri Williams' show in Ironheart, if I'm not mistaken. In She'll reappear against Riri Williams in Ironheart. There's no doubt in my mind that Riri Williams' character will have Doctor Doom in it in some way, shape, or form. For one, the theme of Ironheart is said to be the balance between technology and magic, which is Doctor Doom's persona. 100% Doctor Doom's persona. Um, if you guys remember, she made her Mark II suit during the Black Panther movie, but they obviously didn't allow her to take it with her because it was made of vibranium. Um, it would be really cool during the comics. Riri has Tony Stark as a AI. It would be really cool to see if Tony Stark would come back as an AI for some cameos for Ironheart. I doubt it, but it would be pretty cool. She is also, if you guys do play Marvel Champions, Riri Williams, Ironheart's character, her nemesis is Lucia von Bartis. So it would only make sense that Lucia von Bartis would be in the Ironheart TV show. Um, but yeah, that was pretty much just what I wanted to cover from Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I didn't really want to talk too much about these characters. I probably will get more in depth into it a little bit later on into the week because I plan on covering Shuri, T'Challa, and who else? Shuri, T'Challa, and Ironheart are the characters I do plan on covering. So, if you guys are interested in any of those, just look out for more streams. I've linked this way, there, all of the the Marvel Buddies important stuff for you guys. That is to vote for next week's character, the YouTube channel in case you missed an episode. What days you prefer to see me live? I do plan on doing Marvel Buddies about twice a week, so I'm just waiting to see like what everyone thinks I should do. And then if you guys have any questions, any recommendations for or like for the stream, or if you guys want me to recommend you any comics or anything like that, um, or like common questions like, oh, how do I start reading comics? I want to get into comics. Where do I start? That's always like a big one. My email, the Marvel Buddies email, is there, and I will respond to you through there. I do also have a Marvel Buddies Instagram and a Marvel Buddies Twitter account, that you guys can feel free to message me on through, or whatever. But and the handles are twitter.com/Marvel Buddies Podcast and Instagram.com/Marvel Buddies Podcast, if I'm not mistaken. They're both just Marvel Buddies Podcast. Um, let me take a look. Uh, yeah, Marvel Buddies Podcast on Instagram and on Twitter, if I'm not mistaken, it's also Marvel Buddies Podcast. Yeah, Marvel Buddies Podcast or Marvel Buddies Pod. Um, you guys can feel free to follow me there. Um, and at me there if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns. But yeah, that's been this week's episode of Marvel Buddies. It was a little shorter because I didn't get a full comic out of this. This was just kind of like a one-off thing for like the phone, like when you read it on the app. But yeah, that's been Marvel Buddies this week. I really do like Namor. He's a very interesting character. And he's been around for about 80 years. About 80 years. Since 1940, pretty much October of 1940, 1939. But yeah, that's been Namor the Submariner. If you guys have any other questions regarding that, you guys can feel free to let me know. Um, but yeah, that's me for this week. I will see you guys again next week.